Namaste, everyone. Welcome to Lotus Flower Wellness Temple. We're here again on another Sunday, and it's just nice to have you here. Everyone that joins on the live, we want to welcome you. Thank you for taking your time and spending it with us. We are here to help on your spiritual journey, and so we're going to go ahead and get started with temple service now. All right. Get my stuff together. So, as the screen says here, everyone is loved and welcome here. Doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, your belief systems, it doesn't matter. We love you, you're welcome, and if you're looking for support on your path and your spiritual clarity to come about, then we are a community that loves and supports you, and so yes, you're always welcome. All right, so I would like to invite Quinn up to do the to lead us in the Sambujo chant today.
All right.
All right, Mr. Quinn, let me go ahead and
Hello, everybody.
hi. All right, start here. Right. Awesome. Thank you, Quinn.
Thank you.
And, uh, do you have your paper with you? We'll just work this part together.
All right. Sounds good to me.
All righty. So, we respectfully welcome Amida Buddha to our temple as we scatter flowers of joy. We respectfully welcome Sakyamuni Buddha to our temple as we scatter flowers of joy. We respectfully welcome the Buddhas of all times and places to our temple as we scatter flowers of joy. All
All
right.
right.
Thank you, dear. All right, so now we're going to do the 6 paramitas. So we'll do the leader, and then you all at home on YouTube, you can join along, and then everyone in temple. Also, when we do the all, you can join along with us as well. Starting with giving.
Giving.
May I be generous and helpful. Guidance. May I be guided by the Buddhist precepts. Tolerance. May I regard the mistakes of others with sympathy. Meditation. Oh, I missed one. Perseverance. Thank you. May I do my best in all things. Meditation. May I reflect deeply on my life through the Buddha's teachings. Insight. May I understand the meaning of Namu Amida Butsu. All right, and then last but not least, and we're going to just read the second Buddha Salva vowels. Okay. The many beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Greed, hatred, and ignorance rise endlessly. I vow to abandon them. Dharma gates are countless. I vow to awaken them. Buddha's way is unsurpassed. I vow to embody it fully.
All right.
Thank you. All right, I
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Likewise.
Awesome. I want to thank everybody. Thank you for coming. This means a lot to me, and I'm doing what I'm very passionate about, which is helping and healing people and helping people be guided back to their own personal truth and finding joy and happiness in the life now. So there are ways of thinking and just really simple kind of aha moments when you realize those and you start to make little shifts or changes that really do affect your life on a grand level. And so being aware of those really can give you a real good shot at having some happiness and really finding your soul's path and purpose here in this lifetime. And that's my passion and my joy is to help people reach that. You know, enlightenment is something that's a lifelong process and it continually happens. All right, so today we are going to be talking about in our sermon today about understanding the Buddhist beliefs on God, divine beings, heaven, hell, reincarnation, and enlightenment.
Hello,
Come on
welcome
in.
in.
I'm walking in the room.
No, it's okay. We're having temple service, but you're welcome to join. You're welcome to come in or look around, whatever you want to do.
I was like, did you sell anything to drink up in here?
So we are having temple service. If you would like to have a seat and watch, I do have a camera right here, but you're welcome to mosey on around. Yeah, please
Thank you
do.
so much. Absolutely.
All right, thank you. So, I just want to start with saying good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for joining. Thank you for coming today. The ones that are joining on line on our live here. And so, welcome everyone, friends and family. So today, with the search of truth and liberation in Buddhism, we have come to some truths. We've come to some things that have proven through experience within a lifetimes to be something that we can follow in the footsteps, in a path of the teachings, and to be able to find harmony in our lives. But there are a few concepts that maybe everybody's not real clear on or certain about. And we're going to get a little bit more into those today. Hi, y'all. Welcome. Welcome to Lotus Flower Wellness Temple. Y'all are welcome to join in. We're having temple service. And so if you want to join in, you're welcome, or you can have a look around. I am doing a live stream right now. So if you cross through here, you're going to be on camera, but other than that, you're welcome to stay and join with us. Yes. All right, so what do Buddhists believe about God? That's a big one, right? And to be honest with you, you see it kind of, some people go kind of real hardcore with, oh, no, just don't believe it. But the truth really, and then somewhere on the other side where, yes, we do. The truth really lies in the middle, as does with most Buddhist principles, right? That middle path. So we're going to get a little bit more into that right now. So unlike many other religions, Buddhism does not focus on a worship of a single, all-powerful God. In fact, many schools of Buddhism do not even view the concept of God as central to the practice. The Buddhist himself does not teach about the existence of a creator God. Rather, he emphasizes personal responsibility and the path to enlightenment through one's own efforts. So, not really saying there isn't a God. That's just not the focus of Buddhism. We're not directly putting our focus there. It's more about realizing these qualities and special gifts that you have. Hi, y'all. Welcome. We're having temple service. If you guys would like to join, there's some seats available, and you're welcome to look around as well.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So, let's see, where was I here? All right, so however, some forms of Buddhism, particularly the influences of the Mahayana teachings, recognize celestial beings, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, beings that are attaining enlightenment but remain in the world to help others. These beings can be seen as divine or transcendent, but they are not necessarily gods in the sense that you would worship them or pray to them as creators. They are respected as guides and the source of inspiration. So, more so the energy is like our guardians, right? Versus there's just like, one specific energy, because at the end of the day, in the Buddhist teachings, it's a part of all of us, right? It's a part of our path, a part of the essence that we all hold within us. So there is also, though, in Theravada Buddhism, there are which focuses more on the teachings of the historical Buddha. So there is not an emphasis on the deities at all with the historical Buddhist teachings. They just don't really put their focus there at all. Not really saying that there aren't any. That's just not the focus point of the teachings. So I'm going to go ahead and give a start to this first video here and let us get a little more insight, a little more clarity.
When you think of religion, a belief in God often comes to mind. But Buddhism is different. Buddhists don't deny the existence of gods, yet they don't worship one either. So why is that? Buddhism is more of a philosophy, a way of life centered around personal growth, mindfulness, and compassion. The Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, was a human being, not a deity. He taught that the path to enlightenment is within each of us, not handed down by a higher power. Buddhists believe in karma, the law of cause and effect, and reincarnation, where our actions determine our future lives. The goal isn't to appease a god, but to escape the cycle of suffering by achieving nirvana, a state of ultimate peace. By focusing on inner transformation rather than divine intervention, Buddhism encourages self-reliance and personal responsibility. It's a journey that empowers individuals to seek truth within themselves.
All right. So what do Buddhists believe about divine beings then? Though Buddhism does not necessarily have a single omnipotent God, it does acknowledge the existence of various divine beings, such as devas, which can be thought of as powerful spiritual entities or celestial beings. These beings are not creators or controllers of the universe, but they exist in higher realms of existence. The devas are often seen as beings who have accumulated good karma and thus are born into the heavenly realms. So essentially the work we're doing now, right, is all kind of in alignment to that path. So we're not denying the existence of it. We're just not trying to reach out and say, hey, come save us. We're taking an active role in the work that we're meant to do to reach there, because it can't be done for you, or you have to do it for yourself. And we know that as humans, right? Like somebody can go to school for you and everything and, you know, do all the work, but then when that final exam comes, you're gonna have to show up and take that test, right? So it doesn't matter if somebody went to class for you every other day, you're the one that has to take the test. So it has to be within you. So you know, many people are comforted by, you know, asking for help and guidance, and that is just beautiful because the help and guidance is there. But just to say, to put all the responsibility on another being to come and save you is not really where we put our focus. We do the work actively here while we're here and take responsibility for what is ours, help ourselves to move through the process, being aware of the divine puzzle pieces that we're given and all the connection in the day-to-day, and we take an active role in this ascension process that we're in. However, even beings like devas are still caught in the cycle of samsara, though. So that's another thing to think about. As we know, enlightenment continues to grow. It's a process that continues on, just like evolution does. And so to say that every divine deity or being to automatically assume that they have completely completed the process of samsara would not be correct to say. They may be well more evolved than a good amount of us, but not to say that they have reached that prime, because what do we know about anything that evolves, right? It's going to continue to go. So yeah, so with that being said, let me get into the next video. It might give a little more clarity.
We do not believe that any being created the world, because we do not believe that things can arise from a solitary, unassisted cause. So, in short, no. And for those who say, well, the world must have a creator, that kind of reasoning only leads you down the blind alley of having to say, and the creator must have a creator, and so on ad infinitum. So no, we do not believe in a creator God, neither one who created the world, nor one who can direct and regulate its affairs as it continues. Phenomena arise from the interaction of a variety of causes and conditions. That is, as we can observe just simply by looking at the world, by looking at nature. Do we believe in different kinds of beings, some endowed with particular temporary powers and particular temporary qualities? Sure. I think we have no real problem with that, with the sense that the world there may be energies in the world which have a certain temporary kind of, as it were, force and so on, which were, beings who might be known in traditional societies as gods and so on. In fact, we think that they're simply part of the cycle of samsara, that one might be born in that state as a result of accumulating particular karmic imprints, such as virtue and maybe a certain kind of spiritual facility. But there's a temporary state, so there's certainly nothing to be aimed at for the Buddhist practitioner, whose aim should be, of course, if they're really very serious, simply enlightenment itself. And that's why Buddha himself is known as the teacher of not just humans but gods, because perhaps symbolically it's represented that the gods, Indra and Brahma, members of the Vedic pantheon, came to Buddha to ask for teachings. Because, of course, they need to be liberated too. They're not endowed with wisdom, they're just kind of placed in have achieved temporary status, and it will fail. It will fade and fail. So, if there are gods, and why not, they are simply samsaric beings in need of help also.
Now that's interesting, right? But
Albert Einstein, the Buddha found what he was searching for. Einstein, the genius physicist known for his groundbreaking theory.
That's actually next week, y'all. I'm jumping ahead. But it's interesting, right? To just to put your attention, because I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of people are scared out of their mind to even let themselves even ponder on this moment for a minute, right? This is just something that as human beings, for the most part, you just don't talk about this kind of stuff. But be fair to yourself. Be fair to the truth, and allowing yourself to. We shouldn't be afraid to be open to a concept and hear it out. If we're walking in a truth and we're allowing ourselves to expand and grow, right? So just kind of focus on for a minute, and if you can think about it, it does make sense, right? Like even with human beings, right? We see certain people that put in a lot of effort and work in certain degrees, and they reach really high positions, right, within that position, and so they obtain a lot of work from their effort. They obtain a lot back from the efforts they put in. That doesn't mean that they're great at everything, right? There's just an aspect of them that they have reached really high with. So now if you take that concept back to the divine beings that we were just speaking about, if you kind of think about their energy, what have they excelled in? What have they really opened themselves up to spread their consciousness? It doesn't mean that they are complete in all ways. So with that being said, even a being that might be a guide to you might also need a guide in another area of their beingness, because the thing that they're guiding you with might be their specialty, what they've mastered with their experiences in their time, and so therefore we kind of grow and progress. But you see that in science too. You see that in all the truth in nature around you, right? A tree is really great at giving oxygen, but it's not really great at doing something else that is not meant to. It might be really great at giving you shade, but it's not going to be really great at having a conversation with you and being like, there's certain things that we can attribute a credit to, and it doesn't necessarily mean that across the board that thing has to be evolved and fit in every single kind of category as evolved. So with that being said, yeah, we can probably open our concept up a little bit bigger on that and think, every deity that we think, every divine being that has reached a certain area in a certain area within this process doesn't mean that they've filled it all out. So with that being said, of course, you might actually be the help in another direction for that same guide that's helping you in this direction, to open yourself up like that. We are all here for each other. So beautifully. So we're moving on. And I'm trying to make a very complex conversation as simple as I can, is what I'm trying to do here. And I hope everybody is working with me within that realm there, because it is a big thing that we're talking about here. But also, you know, we're very, very important, each one of us. We're all divine. We're all divine, eternal beings here. So give yourself a lot more credit than maybe what you've done in the past. And like I said, you could be that deity energy for someone else as well, just like you have the guides that guide you. You're also meant to do that as well for others. So in that way, they would see you kind of almost very deity-like, right? Because they're offering something that they need to complete their cycle. So what do Buddhists believe about heaven and hell? Buddhism does not have necessarily concept of heaven and hell, but rather that there is more. But rather, wait, let me start back. Buddhism does not include concept of heaven and hell, but they offer a little different from other religions. In Buddhism cosmology, there are multiple realms of existence, including heavenly realms and hellish realms, which are understood more as states of being rather than permanent destinations. States of being, right? So I'm sure we can all say, I feel like I've lived in a state of being of hell before. I think I understand what that can feel like. I've had to pull myself up out of that place before, and then guess what? You get to another state of being where you're like, things are going smooth, and then, wow, this feels a little more like heaven. If you can think about that, that is a state of being. You don't necessarily have to die to experience a state of being. So not necessarily a permanent place you're just going to go to when your karma cycle is done, but as you move through karma, you're experiencing the outcome of that as you're moving through that process. And so that's more the ideal in Buddhism about the heaven and hell issues that people might be pondering about. It is states of being that you experience. And so how to transcend those is what the teachings are guiding us to is being a little easier on yourself and working through the Noble Eightfold Path and doing being more aware, discerning things, not casting yourself out for every little mistake you make, right? We kind of put ourselves in these states based off of our perception of how we're perceiving the situation. So we have a lot more control over our existence within heaven or hell than we may have thought prior to this moment. All right, so heaven, Deva realms. The heavenly realms are often considered temporary states of happiness where beings enjoy peace, beauty, and pleasure. These beings, the devas, live long lives filled with joy. However, because these beings have not yet reached full enlightenment, these beings are not permanent, and they too will eventually fall back into the lower realms of existence once their positive karma has exhausted. So then hell, Naraka, N-A-R-A-K-A, Naraka. Similarly, hell in Buddhism is not as an internal place of torture, but rather a temporary state of being experiencing suffering due to negative karma. The suffering is intense, but not everlasting, as it will eventually end, and when the individual's bad karma runs its course, and they are reborn into another realm. The nature of Buddhism's hell can be seen as a manifestation of consequences of actions driven by ignorance, hate, and greed. So it's like if you spend your time here, if you will. So now we're talking about what we go through here, and then kind of like after you pass away from this earthly life, kind of what has your karma brought you to. So if you spend a large amount of your conscious life here focusing on negative things, breeding hatred and greed, and living in that energy, what door do you think you might find when you open your eyes back up again after you've transcended from this experience to the next one, right? So we're kind of conditioning ourselves here for where we may go next, right? By what we allow ourselves to take in to this little thing right here, right? So now again, we're seeing the power back in our hands of what will happen to us. We are not like, if you look at the whole concept, you see nobody else could do it for us. Nobody else could save us. We have to do it ourselves. We're the ones sitting here thinking our thoughts. We're the ones perceiving whatever happens to us. We make those choices. So there really is no one that can come in and save us in such a way, because it's our free will. It's our right to focus on what we choose. It's our right to do and go through this process how we will. So there we have our power back again. So either way, it's nothing to be afraid of, but more so aware of what you're kind of conditioning yourself for. So the belief in these realms teach us that the choices that we make in this life affect our future experiences, and the liberation from suffering requires transcendence from the realms altogether by achieving enlightenment. So when you do achieve enlightenment, you start to live in such a way, then these are not things that you have to worry about, because you're not on the extreme. You're not, woe is me, and you're not freaking out either one direction. You're walking in that middle path. You've learned to get back to that truth. And so you don't really have to so much worry about either one, because you're in that peaceful harmony place, which is of your creation, of your choice, of your own actions. All right, I think. Right. Did I do the third video?
You didn't.
I did it. No. Thank you.
A person asked Gautam Buddha about heaven and hell and what it implies. Gautam Buddha gave a beautiful response, saying that a living person cannot go to heaven and a dead person cannot come back. Therefore, no one truly knows what heaven or hell is like. These are just imaginative concepts. Heaven and hell exist on earth itself, and it is based on one's actions. Simply perform good deeds and cultivate positive karma. Thanks for your time. A person asked Gautam Buddha about heaven and hell and
All right, so now with reincarnation, because I did promise that we would touch on that too. So a key concept in Buddhism is samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. According to Buddha's teachings, all beings are trapped in the samsara process due to ignorance, attachment, and desires. Reincarnation is the process by which individuals are reborn into a new life after they die, influenced by the karma that you have accumulated. You have accumulated individually for yourself through your own actions. Unlike the soul-based concept of reincarnation found in some other traditions, Buddhism teaches that there is no permanent self. What is reborn is not an eternal soul, but rather a karmic accumulation of your actions, your thoughts, and your intentions of the individual, of each person, which leads to the arising of a new life. The cycle of rebirth continues until one reaches nirvana and the cessation of the suffering and the end of samsara. So what happens after we reach enlightenment? Enlightenment or nirvana is a ultimate goal of Buddhist practice, and that's why we're here. It is the state of being free from suffering, attachment, and ignorance. The Buddha taught us that that following the Noble Eightfold Path, which I'll go through real quick: right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. One can gradually overcome the obstacles that bind us to the suffering so that we can reach a state of nirvana. So once an individual does reach enlightenment, they can no longer be bound by the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. They are eradicating all forms of craving, hatred, delusion, and they experience a profound peace and freedom. However, nirvana is not a place or a state of blissful existence. It is the cessation of suffering and the end of the cycle of rebirth. So for those who have reached enlightenment, there is no more attachment to existence, and there is no longer a subject to create the karmic cycle on, right? Because now you're seeing yourself as a part of everything. You're literally seeing yourself as a part of this process of the growth, of the evolution, and not really something that's kind of scared of it. Actually, at the end of the day, you're actually accepting the truth, and so that's a huge difference between the you are or you aren't kind of process. The path to liberation. In Buddhism, liberation is not achieved through the intervention of a God or a divine being, but through one's own understanding and action. The Buddha's teachings offer a practical and personal path to enlightenment, which involves understanding the Four Noble Truths. And we all know what those are, right? Life is suffering, which is dukkha. Suffering is the cause of craving and attachment. Suffering can end, and the path to the cessation of suffering is the Noble Eightfold Path. So meditation and mindfulness practices are very helpful to do this work, as we always talk about. They help us develop our awareness and our concentration, the insight to discover our true nature and the true nature of reality, leading us to wisdom and the end of suffering. So in conclusion to what we have to talk about here is this pursuit of freedom, right? Okay, so Buddhists offer a profound perspective on life, the cosmos, and our spiritual journey. The belief system encourages personal growth, compassion, wisdom, emphasizing that each individual has a potential to reach enlightenment, free from the cycle of suffering and rebirth. And that doesn't matter who you are, what religion you believe in, none of it. Everybody has a shot. Everybody has opportunities that are presented. Everyone has guides that help out. But it just really comes down to, are you willing to take that time and effort to work through your puzzle pieces, as I like to say, put them together, get yourself back to whole, make sure you really do resonate with your belief system so that your reactions can be trusted, so you can really believe in your reactions to things instead of, dang, why did I do that kind of stuff. And this makes a very big difference. So I just want to say thank you for your attention on this today. This was big work right here, that putting all this together and kind of getting a concept of it. It's just a really big topic that I've kind of crammed a lot in there, because I really felt it was important that we talk about this stuff now, so everybody can really get a full concept of our personal power and our personal responsibility within our path. And yes, it's beautiful to appreciate the masters that came before us, the guides that support us constantly, our ancestors that did it before us, the same ones we're talking about, and then but also to remember to keep the responsibility of the saving of oneself to oneself. So that's our job, to do this, to get ourselves back to that whole place. So thank you so much. We're going to continue. So I want to share something with you that can help you during meditations, breath work, mindfulness, just to still your mind, quiet yourself, and allow more access to hear your higher self. Yogena Tasha Bodhe Vatra Travashadikena Yohagrat Dim Rabadam Puritam Patanjaliam. Alright, so if anyone has any specific blockages, anything that's been burdening you, anything that's been weighing you down, something that you would like to see lifted from your energy, I'm going to come around right now and do an attunement and help you with that. So just, let's start actually by blowing all of our stale air and energy out. And then hold there, and then we're going to do the infinity breath and breathe in all that cosmic air, creator light into us, and then just circulate the air throughout you with your breath. Beautiful. All right. Consider your feelings. Recognizing and admitting to yourself that you feel angry is important because it means that you're actually considering how you feel, rather than just reacting as if on autopilot. You are thinking through what is happening and not just ripping off with the first instinctual, habitual response. Contemplate this for a while today and see how it may help you in your life. Join the family by joining the YouTube channel. And please like and share so we can share Reiki healing of the mind with others. Namaste. But we're not quite ready for this yet, but I found it. Alright, so now I want to do a little body scan meditation based off of not just what we discussed today in sermon, but also what the Reiki healing of the mind came up for today. Essentially, we do have feelings. We do have things going on with us. It's the reactions that get us into the trouble, if you will. Just reacting without any discernment. So yes, if you're feeling something, put your awareness into it. See what's going on there. But that the discomfort of feelings is what makes us You know, so if you're upset about something, have a minute with yourself. Go over that. Like what's really bothering me, you know. Instead of just like, okay, I feel this discomfort. Let me just, you know. So that's what we want to be more aware of, is that habitual reaction to kind of get things to stop. We just have to put our focus and attention, be honest with ourselves. Okay, yes, I'm feeling a little angry right now. Let me take a breath. Let me calm myself, instead of I'm feeling something, now I'm just going to act angry. So it's just, you know, there's many opportunities in every day that we can take our power back. We can choose more skillful choices. So in this meditation today, I would like for us just to ponder on the sermon of today, and then also our ability to take that one little second to look into what's going on with us when we have feelings before we allow that reaction to happen. All right. So just going back to your breathing now, how we were with the infinity breath. Just take a second of your breathing and just get real comfortable for a second. We're going to start putting our awareness on our feet and our toes, just feeling them touching the floor, and just feeling the vibration of our feet touching the floor, and the breath pulling up our legs and up our body. And as you pull that breath up, you're just going to bring the awareness to each part of your body as you pull the energy of breath up your body more. And when we get to the heart chakra right now, I just want you to feel the heart chakra expanding out more. And if you'll just contemplate today's message today from that heart chakra, from your heart chakra. And I'm just going to let you have a moment just to ponder what you will with the lessons of today and the Reiki healing of the mind. Just keep focusing on your breath as well while you just see what comes up for you. Keep breathing and just feel that energy now rising up to your throat chakra, pulling it up to your third eye, and out through your crown. Awesome. Just take your time there for a minute. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes again. Awesome. All right, so Lotus Flower Wellness Temple has a lot of different services, different products that we have here and offer, different workshops and such that we do that can help you on your path and in your journey. So we're going to play this little video here, and we're always here for you. And so after temple service today, we're going to be doing our podcast that we've been doing. So we're just going to flip the camera around, give us a couple minutes, and we're going to set up for our temple service, or our podcast service. So just hang tight after the video. Thank you for joining. So again, we're gonna start setting up here in just a second, but I do want to say thank you for coming, and we will see you next Sunday. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so, and if you hit the notification bell, you'll always know when we're going live. All right, thank you. All right, yay! Let's get our stuff together. I feel like that should possibly get us in there pretty good. We'll see. All right. One, two, and three.
I'm not a tree.
You're,
I'm a tree.
you're a tree. Okay, we're all in there. Wow. All right.
Hello, welcome in.
Hi, y'all. Hello. We just started the podcast, so we're still on the live. If you want to listen or join or whatever, let me get this plugged in. And then we'll be good to go. Oh, it's so cute.
Nice.
Yes. It Sorry. Just a little bit, my flakes. Testing. Okay. So, one here, one here.
Okay.
All right. Okay. And you start us out with the cheer. Namaste.
Namaste.
Welcome to the Lotus Flower Wellness Temple podcast, where we focus on harmony for humanity. We always have a podcast after we do temple service every Sunday. And today we discussed quite a bit, didn't we, Quinn?
Oh, yeah.
Miguel, yes. So today we discussed the Buddhist beliefs about God, heaven, hell, deities, enlightenment, what happens after you pass away. So I just want to kind of open the floor. Does anyone want to get started on any personal perspective of what we talked about today?
Well, I can say I've got quite a few thoughts about these kinds of things. It's just stuff that I've been thinking about for a long time. So even if I don't believe in an individualistic God, I do believe in a collaborative existence of all things as one, and a connection there, that all that exists, all that is kind of connected by a universal thread in a way, and so it's, and I definitely agree with a lot of the things that were said during the sermon, that not being a major focus, it's not something that's central to life. It's not something that I have to constantly be I can be grateful for things in my life. I can be grateful for um, things that happen that were unexpected, things that the universe has brought to me. I can, you know, I can manifest and I can do those sorts of things as well. But like, it's like I do have to work through my own efforts to grow personally and um, to be able to reach my own enlightenment and to reach my own growth.
Yeah.
And I think another point that, like, I personally feel that, well, like, I do believe in that nirvana, in that, you know, that we can strive to achieve. I believe that there is no ultimate ending to anything, personally. I believe in it as more of a sort of, like, another level,
Yeah.
right? Like you reach that state and then you move on to the next stage of this kind of spiral. You know, like it's like an expansive spiral, like that moves forward and back as well. Like it's not just like stationary, not like a slinky kind of,
Yeah.
almost, as far as that form. And we move up and up different layers uh, as we grow more enlightened. And so, like, I feel like there's also something with, like, even the different entities. Like, I feel like, when you think of devas, when you think of these different entities, like, they, because they are like these beings that are on higher planes, they have a different sort of understanding of the way that things work. You know, like they don't have the same societal expectations that humans do um, on Earth. Like we gotta understand that there's a lot of programming that's going on down here that isn't up there, right? Like they are not concerned about the same programming that we are, right? Like, there's a lot of I feel like what's it just projection that goes on when you're thinking about like a deva or like a higher being, like and how they should be treated, and that I feel like it projects a lot of our own expectations based off of our society and our worldview, and like ways that we may feel that they may be disappointed in us when really they're cheering us on the whole way.
Right. Yes. Yes. I thank you for sharing that. You're right. We're here for each other, and I do appreciate you pointing that out, Miguel. What was your personal perspective of today's message?
Well, I, as an open Christian, I do follow the teachings of Jesus, and so I do believe in God personally, and I've when I was younger, I've done research and just dabbled in all kinds of beliefs, and just tried to view all kinds of things, and nothing ever really I felt like brought me any real joy or satisfaction until like I really opened up and kind of just looked at more into Christianity personally, and the thing is I take a lot of joy and pride in it, in all honesty, and it's because it for me I enjoy it because in the teachings of Jesus, he taught us that there's beauty in suffering and beauty in in the pain that we do suffer, which everybody suffers, and so but also too there's power in faith and prayer because that's kind of where as Christians they pull their power from a higher being. And so I'm a restless person. I can't meditate for anything, even if I tried, because I'm just a very anxious person, you know. And so, but that prayer kind of gives me a peace of mind, you know. And I see, you know, and I've looked into all kinds of other kind of like philosophies and religions and stuff, and that and in fact many of them do share very similar concepts, you know, like, you know, with the whole thing with like enlightenment, you know, like for example with Buddhism it's, you know, it's nirvana, you know, and kind of working within yourself, you know. With Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, it's heaven. It's just a state of not suffering anymore, and you know, and it, you know, whether it's eternal bliss or however it may be, your eternal death, whatever it may be, but it's still this lack of suffering, nonetheless, whatever state that might be, you know, and obviously there is spiritual aspects into any religion and philosophy, you know, and it's so like some people might view, you know, view it differently. They might see angels and demons, or they might see some other, you know, powers that may be, but it's still, there's a focus on a realm that we can't see and that we may not be able to, like, we might not be able to physically grasp it in our human senses, but we all, in a sense, can feel it, and you know, in a way, I mean, some people might see or feel auras, or some people just they have a leading of the spirit that, like, you know, I have this inclination or compulsion that to do this. I don't understand why, and I've personally gone through these things myself where, well, you know, this is like I would like think about something or pray about something, or just like I just was being physically pulled in a situation that's just beyond coincidence. And so it's like, for me, it's like, okay, you know, obviously there's something going on there, whatever, you know, anyone's belief system might be, there definitely is something out there beyond our that beyond our perceivable grasp, you know. And so, you know, I often question myself, you know, a lot of times, well, what does this mean? What does that mean? Because I'm a very logical and inquisitive person, so, you know, and a lot of times, you know, if I can't put if I can't put any water to something, if I can't put any evidence, any correlation, okay, so you know, it's easy for me to just be like, well, obviously, this doesn't work. Boom, you know. But for me, it's like when I start seeing correlation after correlation of just, okay, this keeps happening, this keeps happening, this keeps happening, repeatedly and repeatedly, then it's like, okay, well, now I understand that something is going on that's beyond something that I currently understand and may never truly understand. But but that being the case, I do know that uh, that there are actions that are beyond my control, uh, but also there are things that I know that I can control within my own powers. That, you know, whatever it might be, uh, you know, but there definitely are, you know, with the right state of mind and the right work. You know, I feel like that anybody can achieve anything, you know, and
Right.
anybody can make a difference in the world and in their own life and community and their family with friends, you know. And so, you know, definitely, you know, you have people who do absolutely heinous things, you know, that hurt millions and millions of people, but you also, on the other hand, have very good people who make a difference to do very good things. So, it all just depends on how you view things and how you operate.
Right. Yeah, I definitely, something that really spoke to me also in this particular sermon was that the idea of, going through hells and heavens while on earth. I feel like it's something that it's like, since we are operating a body, we are a soul operating a body, um, it's a bit more muted for us while we are on Earth, these kinds of experiences. And so, like, these realms, like, they do exist beyond the body, and so when we experience them outside, like, even though they are temporary realms, like, our soul is free to move around as it may. Um, like when it's not operating the body, uh, it can sometimes feel like, based on like our perception, um, when we died and stuff like that, it can feel like we were trapped there. I've actually read a book before that, someone was describing one of those post-death experiences where they were kind of guided through these different realms and told about them. And they were talking about, like, hell, one of the hells being a place where people who felt like they deserved to suffer for what they had done. Like, they deserved um, the anguish and the burning and the flames. Uh, they felt stuck there, like, because of their soul's perception at the time of death. And sometimes that would last a few years until they ultimately realized, hey, wait, I can get out of here. I don't need to remain in this space. I don't need to continue uh, to feel this kind of guilt and this to suffer this anguish. I have the ability to incarnate again, or to move to higher states of being.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, today was a big one, and something that I'm glad that we got to focus on and dive into together, because for the most part, it is a little difficult to first of all to think about something so big, and especially the fact that none of us are saying that God, goddess, creators don't exist. The central part of Buddhism is not like, no, it doesn't exist. It's like we don't focus there.
Yeah.
That's not where our focus is. Our focus is more so understanding that there's processes that we're all meant to go through to purify ourselves back to such a state.
Right. And, like, I do find it a fascinating topic to discuss and to, like, think about and consider. But ultimately, when I'm thinking about my existence, when I'm trying to, like, when I'm being present, it's not something that's relevant to me immediately, right? Like, sometimes I can, if I'm struggling and stuff like that, I can reach out and I can ask for help, but, like, ultimately it's on me to do what I need to do. And I can feel like, hey, I'm not alone in this, and that is a great feeling,
Yeah.
Whether it's praying, whether it's meditating, whether it's whatever, like, to reach other beings, like, it's great to feel supported. But ultimately, regardless of what support I have and what faith I have in that support, it's important for me to act on what I need to act on and to grow myself and to put in the work on my end. I'm reminded of actually a an analogy that was, or like a, I'm forgetting the term for it. But an analogy that was taught when I was going to Christian church in youth group, and it was like this guy is drowning, like he's drowning in the middle of the ocean. He prays to God. He's like, God, please save me, please send something. And some people come by in a rowboat, and they're like, hey, you want to come on board? And he's like, no, God's got me. God's going to save me.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah,
go
I've
on
heard
their
that.
way, and then like, another boat comes by, a bigger boat, and they're like, do you need any help? And he's like, no, God's going to save me. And so like ultimately he ends up drowning because like, he didn't put any of his own work in. He didn't like, he was sent all the help that he needed, but like he never reached out to grab it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I definitely have heard that one too, and yeah. So I'm sure we've all heard that the divine helps those that help themselves. Like, right? We have to take that action and that effort to do the things that we can kind of get a little tap on the shoulder, or even from inside our heart, and feel like, okay, this is something that I feel I need to do, or this is something I feel I shouldn't do. But there's no, the bigger point here is there's no other entity other than you that is going to be able to be the one that makes those decisions, those choices that help you feel worthy
Right.
of one way or another. You're the one ultimately that is taking on the karma, the perception of the way things are, and how you're going to feel about your own light, your own truth, and who you are. And that is a responsibility that no other being can change for you.
Exactly.
And that's more the central focus of Buddhism around such things, is that it's not even about whether it's a belief or not. It's just not where we're focusing. The actual focus that we focus on is that work. The boat's here. You asked for it. You manifested it. It's here. Are you gonna get in it? Are you gonna get in that boat? You asked for it. It came. And yes, and so therefore, with that being said, the answers to our prayers, our manifestations, come in many different forms.
Right.
And so, yeah, we have to be willing to take that action. So, yeah, it's definitely something that I was feeling very drawn and called to discuss today for sermon. And you can't kind of talk about one without the other. And while today's sermon could have been broken up into several, I really felt that it was important that we intertwine them, everything we talked about today, because it does go together. And you can't think about the one concept without naturally branching off to the other. And I knew that, so I felt very called to include them all. And I know that it was a lot. But that's what we do, is we do the work, right?
Right.
That's part of our integration here is focusing on certain things that maybe have been something that we wouldn't have necessarily even been brave enough to say, where are my beliefs on this? Because for the most part, we're taught what to believe.
Yeah,
From a little child.
I think even from a Christian perspective, something to keep in mind is the idea that God is described as omnipresent. And what omnipresent means is in all things.
Yes.
Which means in all people, in all places, in everything that exists. So everybody that is a part of God. God is not individualistic or separate from anybody. He is you and everybody else that is around. He is everything. He is every, or she, or like, however you want to think about it. They are all that is in existence. So like, it's not something that you have to think about as like, this thing that is so much higher than you, because they are a part of you, you know? So every bit of work that you are doing is a part of that work that God is doing,
Yes, awesome. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. So I do want to mention that I was out of the country for a little bit, and you guys definitely stepped up and
Thank you.
kept things flowing. So I just wanted to share that with the audience that we might be really small now, but the efforts and the love and the dedication that we have to exploring and sharing and walking in this path together and being a support system for each other. That really came full circle this past couple weeks, and I just really wanted to share my gratitude for that, guys. Thank you so very much, and everything. And it makes me just super happy to see that this is something that we are growing, and
Yeah.
our goal is to share this opportunity with anyone that's ready, anyone that wants a sense of a spiritual community that they can thrive and grow with and have support with. We are
Right.
definitely here for you. So I was
Yeah,
very
and
happy to see that.
I just want to say that I'm happy to be able to be a part of this and to be able to contribute to have been given that opportunity. It takes a lot of trust, and I really do appreciate that. I definitely gave it my best while I was here, and I'm sure Miguel did as well.
Yes, both of
Uh,
you. Hang on, wait. I'll get a lot of cheers in here for you guys. Woo, woo, woo. Yeah.
but yeah, I really do enjoy the work that we're doing here.
Awesome. Yes, absolutely. And that is, ultimately online we can reach far more than we could ever just in one location. So that is why we care so much about doing the podcast, the live for the temple service and everything, so that whether it's today when we record it, when we're going live, doesn't matter, it's there. And the way that things work is that it will be there waiting when whomever is ready. So I just love that we're participating in this together. So does anyone have anything else that they want to add today, or anything
Um,
else?
yeah, I just want to say, regardless of what someone might believe, ultimately, it's about free will. And so, because if you're not willing to put in the effort to uh, to better yourself or to do something that the spirit leads you to do, and you just don't do it, you'll never see any real growth or see any real progress in your life or anybody else's life. And so, that's the main thing. You have to be willing to take that step, even if it might be difficult, if you know it will make uh, a much better outcome in the long run. So definitely free will, and that's not easy. That takes a lot of wisdom and experience to really take that plunge, to be able to say, hey, I have the freedom to do whatever I want. And so you can choose to either use it for good or for bad.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. Anybody else?
I think we've pretty much covered most of what I have that was on my mind. Really, I do agree with what Miguel said there. Like, definitely, it's something I think is kind of like almost a rule even to higher entities that human free will is sacred. They may push you one way or another. They may like encourage you in certain ways. You may feel like drawn towards certain things. But ultimately, it's your choice to actually act and to be accountable to what you feel and uh, to really be who you are in your soul. To put your to put your higher self in that high seat of making decisions and uh, allowing yourself to do things that scare you, to run towards things that you are deathly afraid of. Because a lot of times those are places where you have the most potential for growth.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, and at the end of the day, I truly do believe that no matter what decision you make on anything, there's still something to learn there. It's not in vain. It's still and whichever way we choose to go with it does really kind of shine a big light on where our focus is, where our head is, kind of where we've kind of grown to. Like for instance, and I wish more of us would hold on to the child self of us. But a good example would be when we get to that age as a kid where we're like, oh, well, I'm grown up now, I can't do that anymore. Like, and we forego things that we love because we think that it's not symbolistic of where we're supposed to be in other people's eyes.
Yeah. Or even when someone else tells us, "Oh, you're grown up. You can't do that anymore." There's some things that are just fundamental to who we are that we lose in that process.
Yes. Yeah. So it's definitely something to be a very much a good steward of is your power of free will and what you choose to do with it, because it really does dictate the choice that you've made. Like, which direction are you going? Are you going to stay in this cycle, or are you done with that one and are you going to go to this one? So you make a different choice than you would have habitually to stay in that cycle. So when we do shift out of the energy and we do make different choices, we should be very aware of what we just done, because a lot of times we just shifted ourselves into a new energy. So when you find yourself making a completely different decision than otherwise maybe the day before, you're like, I just didn't really see myself doing this. You probably want to pay a lot more attention to what's going on around you and stuff, because you are growing and you are evolving. You're getting more brave. You're going to something that might have been unknown to you and a little more uncomfortable. And so these are the transitions. And also, if you see yourself making only the same decisions because you're afraid of change, that's something that we should be more of a steward of and be aware of that. Why do I keep choosing this same thing? Is it because I'm just comfortable with it and I'm afraid of change?
Yeah.
So we do need to be very wise for ourselves, of very aware of our choices that we're making and what cycles are we coming in and out of and everything. But a lot of that comes down to mindfulness and just being more aware of our own choices and whys, the why. Why do we choose that? Discerning even our own free will and our own choices, because that will give us some more insight of where ultimately kind of that the unconscious aspect of us is guiding us a little bit more. And are we running from it, or are we growing with it? Because there is both aspects. And that's something else that could take us on a whole nother rabbit hole. So we can save that for another day. But I think that is important to be very aware of how we use our free will and the choices that we make. It's not just like a check that box, yes or no. Like, what does that really mean about me? What does that say about where my free will is taking me, right? Like, so that's something to be very, very open to an internal dialogue with oneself about what does that mean for us, especially when we see ourselves starting to reach out of our comfort zone. That's a really big one.
That was actually something that was just coming to me in that moment. Like how important those moments where we start to consider something that we used to, like, we wouldn't have even given a second glance to in the past. Like, I think those are some of the most important moments in our lives, when we realize, hey, wait, this wasn't as bad as I made it out to be. Like, this wasn't I may have resisted this for so long, but only because of the programming and because of what what I've been through up to now has
Yeah.
told me about it.
Yeah, do you have anything to add to that at all, Miguel? Because that you kind of brought up the free will, and then we've kind of taken it to a whole nother place and then kind of back again or whatnot. But did anything come to you on that?
Well, I think we pretty much covered it. I would say.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. So I look over at my phone now and it says a little bit of low battery, so I think that's probably a good place to leave it for now.
Yeah,
But
sounds like a good cutoff point to me.
yes, I just want to say namaste to everyone.
Namaste.
Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
All right. Yay. Okay, so stop.